our reading of Howard Ginsberg's Jefferson and Entanglements. Thank you so much to the Benjamin Franklin House for having us. We've been working with them, I'm from Aurora Metro Arts and Media. We're a small arts and education charity based in Richmond upon Thames. And we are currently working on a project funded by the National Literary Heritage Fund called How We Lost America, which is a pop-up exhibition, a series of events, artist workshop, historian talks, and rehearsed readings to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. This is our first venue. It was also our first rehearsed reading, so we're incredibly excited. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to introduce Claire Cooper, who is an accredited director from local to us, the Richmond Shakespeare Society, and she also offered to come on board this project to direct this rehearsed reading. So thank you so much to Claire.
This is a rehearsed reading. We have tried to make things as authentic as we can, and we really appreciate everybody being here. There will be a 10-minute break because the play is written in 2 acts, and it is about 45 minutes each half, so it is slightly longer than the 9 o'clock finish. But we hope you enjoy. Amie does have some scripts of the text available afterwards, and of course, if you want to stop and talk to any of the cast afterwards, then I'm sure we'd all be really delighted to talk to you.
Thank you.
A letter from Jefferson. Still no letter from Jefferson. Cold. Over July. Always cold down. Winter, summer. Perhaps not.
The wind is blowing strong and hard, cloudy and cool on this special day.
Still no letter from Jefferson. I rebuke you severely. This is no way to treat an old friend.
I must send my apologies to dear Adams. I need young and able hands to write just one more letter.
I am on borrowed time and need borrowed hands to write to Jefferson.
Tell Adams I am keeping pace with him in dilapidation and decrepitude. My writing has suffered yet again from recurrent problems of the wrist. Another fracture obstinately refusing to heal. But Adams, 90 years of age, doth put me to shame. I, a mere 83-year-old, must rely entirely on my dear daughter, whose hands are full looking after her 11 children. One more to top it off.
Forget letters, Jefferson. There's no more time and no more need, for soon we shall be together for all eternity. Shall we not? Are you well, Jefferson? Are you alive?
50 years ago today, this day, July 4th.
Now in the year of our Lord, 1826.
I look back in with fond remembrance of friends and colleagues fallen by the wayside. Of all those who signed the Declaration, 56 strong, only Adams north of the Potomac and one other survive. And in the South, but I and I alone.
It is today, is it not, Jefferson? Your day of triumph and celebration?
Day made possible by the stout heart, dedication, and resolution of the great man from Massachusetts.
Nay,
The
nay,
firebrand of revolution.
nay, nay, it was your document alone, one single page, into which you poured the very soul of the continent. You bound up together all of us in common purpose and gave focus to our yearnings for self-government. I give my hand and my heart to this vote. With firm reliance on the protection of Almighty God, I pledge, and now, gentlemen, let us all pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We were mindful of our moment in history. We were resolute. We were inspired. And we were wrangling, squabbling, quibbling, and nibbling hour after hour, day after sweltering day, making lamentable compromises. But in the end, we did look back on what we had wrought, and we did rejoice, except for you.
Disappointed, oh yes, then as now. Only the faintest stirring of a new beginning.
A natural malcontent, that's what you are, Jefferson. You are difficult to love, but I have loved you well.
But you did love England better. Always England, dear Adams. Mother England.
Nay, nay.
English government and English royalty held you utterly
It
enthralled.
was not like that at all.
General Washington, with his royal manner, confirmed precisely your vision of an aristocratic, all-powerful government.
Nay, nay.
You wanted him commanding general. You wanted him president. You wanted him king.
You can't still believe that, Jefferson. Not now. Not now. Well, yes, we needed order. We needed discipline. We needed God, and we still do.
I hear the happy sound of crowds assembling on the lawn at Monticello. Or is it Philadelphia?
These my friends here. Already. Is it the 4th of July? Already.
I hear soldiers.
Soldiers in Philadelphia?
Open wide those shutters.
Open them wide.
Brave men will still fight for liberty.
We must help them, one and all.
It was Independence Square. Early evening. I was at my window.
And I at mine. Such excitement in the air.
The army preparing to march north to escape the enemy.
Gallant lads, every one of them.
The war is now heartily entered into, with little prospect for accommodation, but through military might.
Oh, the pride that noble war doth engender.
Aim it far and wide. We once proud Englishmen are now proud Americans.
The mighty engine of independence has begun to roll. The dust here is impossible. Philadelphia.
Beloved wife, beloved Patty, I have the best news. I am coming home at last.
Beloved Mrs. Adams, you would think me transported with joy by these events.
The Continental Congress has concluded its final deliberations, and the delegates depart tomorrow to proclaim throughout the land we have a new republic. 13 erstwhile colonies of Great Britain have disappeared.
I am only too well aware of the blood and treasure it will cost us to secure our freedom from that tyrant, King George.
The pampered British aristocracy will have little stomach for this distant war. It will end soon, dear Patty, and you and I shall then voyage ensemble à la belle France.
Good letters, Mrs. Adams, arrive each morning like the rising of the sun over beautiful Boston Harbor.
No letter again, dearest Patty. Are you still unwell? I hearken to the hoofbeats of the post rider, who arrives each morning with packets of letters, save one, with delicate script, perfumed, one I long to see most of all.
Evening comes, I read them again, over and over. Your warm sentiments sustain a homesick heart and fortify my determination to battle with weak-hearted doubters and pusillanimous protesters.
Studies of Palladian architecture have resolved my discontent with the design of Monticello. I see the necessity for a large dome to unify east and west porticos, and we must make major changes.
Stifling we heap here is not the least of my trials and tribulations in this wretched place. We do labor, we do moan, we do groan in Philadelphia. So dirty, dusty. Yet I must keep my shutters open, for if I close them, I am a cooked goose. Cooked goose.
I will be on horseback before dawn tomorrow and home in a week, were it not for the insistent, unyielding constraints of our devout and pietistic colleagues, who would have us all beseech Almighty God to discover time here or there in his busy schedule to regard our activities with favor and benevolence. To that end, convene a final devotional service and declare, or should I say impose, a national day of prayer and fasting for those most in need.
Some of us shall benefit more than others, body and soul. Why, for myself, I note my failings each and every day. My little book fills up all too rapidly with the grievous record of my sin and folly.
Dr. Benjamin Rush, Pennsylvania delegate, benevolent host, has become a good friend and staunch ally.
A most cordial fellow, that Dr. Rush, a sound and sensible physician, unlike so many so-called doctors.
He and his gracious lady have made their home a comfort and refuge for this forlorn soul.
Mrs. Rush, a pretty thing, let no one gainsay that. But oh, how she doth ramble. A bit mouthy, unlike me, of course.
And he doth labor well to bring us all together, to break old customs and subdue old rivalry.
Here in wicked Philadelphia, it is not easy. I look at this city with all its trade and wealth, and I think this is not Boston. The morals of our people are better, our manners more refined. We are more agreeable, we are more God-fearing, we are more English. Some of what I've seen here, well, awful to recount.
Before the final vote, Adams brought the convention to its feet, cheering his vision of what America would become once free from foreign domination. By this declaration, he said,
we shall elevate our grand purpose high above the narrow confines of our narrow territory, and hoist the banner of freedom and independence for all people and all nations. God, who gave man life, gave him liberty at the same moment.
But for me, the most satisfying part of the day came after the vote, when the famous John Adams strode across the room to shake my hand and invite me to join him for a celebration libation at St. Tavern. I hear tell this New England son of a deacon of such dour and forbidding countenance doth well enjoy the pleasure of the table and jug. I do fancy this man from Massachusetts.
That young Jefferson has seized upon my heart. Oh, how he doth write, with a felicity and expression that flow like liquid gold. I have to admit, yes, 5 times, nay, 10 times better than I myself. Can't they water the streets? I hear, sir, we have much to celebrate. Thanks to you, yea, verily, you did stir us to a fine frenzy for freedom.
The Declaration of Independence has been so mutilated, so emasculated. I feel we have brought forth a declaration of diffidence and timidity, lacking the fire and blood of revolution.
Oh, come now, sir.
I pray you, was not my first draft more perfect?
Only God is perfect, sir. Mere mortals confined to earthly existence must endure a world of rampant imperfections. Pass over human weakness, sir. We are building a new Jerusalem.
Except for the slaves.
Slaves.
The delegates entirely deleted my condemnation of England for its remorseless conveyance of miserable human beings, chained together like animals.
Oh, American ships make haste to fill any void in that marketplace, be assured of that.
Especially New England ship owners and New England merchants who profit from such despicable commerce.
Shameful, sir, and evil. I hold no breach with you there, but if we fight amongst ourselves, we shall never defeat Great Britain. And you, sir, if I may be so bold, are known to possess a goodly number of slaves yourself. Approximately 200, I do hear.
Sir, if I were to grant liberty to a people whose habits were formed in slavery, it would be like abandoning children in the wilderness. No, we must educate them, elevate them, change society, change the law.
All of which will take generations upon generations, will it not, dear Jefferson?
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on.
You think you alone are discontent with our proceedings? Hear this, I pray you. It is a letter from my wife.
Dear Mr. Adams,
We are a formal sort.
in a new code of law, which it will be necessary for you to formulate, I desire that you remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than ever were your ancestors. Do not put unlimited power in the hands of husbands, for all men would be tyrants if they could. And if particular care and attention be not paid to the ladies, we are absolutely determined to foment a revolution of our home. And we will not hold ourselves bound by any law in which we have had no voice and no representation.
My God, she is a saucy lady, is she not, sir?
That your sex is by nature tyrannical is a truth so thoroughly established as to admit of no dispute. But such of you as may wish to enjoy domestic felicities do willingly surrender the harsh title of master for the tender and endearing name of friend. Why not then remove power from those amongst you who would be wrongful and vicious, who think of us with indignity and cruelty and inhumanity? Men of good sense abhor customs which treat women like slaves. Regard us instead as precious beings, placed by Providence under your sacred protection, and in fond imitation of the Supreme Being, make use of your power for our happiness, and thereby for your own as well.
You must make her acquaintance at your earliest occasions.
I shall anticipate the opportunity with the greatest of pleasure. And I shall tell your lady how John Adams, representing a constituency altogether disparate and distant, did battle to preserve the essence of the Declaration. He did stand by my side like a fellow Virginian.
Go not so far, dear sir. I should be in deep trouble back in Massachusetts. Oh, waiter, where is that wastrel waiter? What will be your pleasure, Jefferson?
A glass of fine Bordeaux would suit me well, and drinking it, we shall pay homage to Mother France, our intellectual homeland.
Ah, Mother France, Mother Monster, malignant spider ever scheming to eat us up alive, to betray us as she doth betray everyone. It is her nature.
We shall not defeat England without unstinting French aid and assistance.
I concur entirely, but with regret. For me, a proper delectation, dear Jefferson, is fine English sherry. Cure certain for numerous ailments of the body and soul. When I sip my English sherry, I savor stability, order, tradition, and balance, which England got rest her wicked soul, doth well exemplify, despite her bungling contempt for our righteous grievances.
Let us share the same drink, sir, and in all goodwill we'll compromise with good Pennsylvania beer.
Beer! Ha! We shall compromise ourselves, indeed. Where have all the waiters gone? Serving in the army if they know what's good for them. Beer, my good man, beer! But after all is said and done, we shall still speak English in the home. We shall still be English in our hearts. We shall be the better for it.
Men at arms.
It must be the general. There he be, Washington! Isn't he magnificent? I do admire a fine uniform.
I hope he fights half as well as he dresses.
Sir!
He had the little experience.
Sir, he has character which is the more consequential, and he shall bring us independence if we are worthy of it.
Oh, then let us drink to independence and to freedom. Freedom from foreign control, freedom from the past, freedom from interference in our private lives, whether by king, government, or church. The church being more powerful is the more dangerous.
Perceive we have much to discuss, dear Jefferson. Shall commit myself to rekindle in your skeptical heart first the spark, and then the flame of renewed reverence for God's wisdom, and honor for our noble clergymen who carry the word to those who are alas too weak of faith.
Reciprocal sentiments, dear Adams. I shall endeavor to persuade you that enlightened mankind has earned the right to place man's God-given gift of reason, and not the church, at the very center of the universe.
By God, Jefferson, you are your own man, aren't you? I do value you, sir, however far astray you may have wandered. Look at us, the way we dress, the way we think, the way we talk, different as different can be, and yet we shall be good friends. I do feel it in my bones.
It is the perfect coincidence of purpose and principle that has brought us together at this time, at this place.
God willing, we shall meet again soon.
Farewell, dear sir.
Farewell, dear friend.
Dear Mr. Adams, after 3 long years, this interminable war is grinding down to total stalemate, a weary war of attrition.
Philadelphia and New York have been occupied. Others may soon fall to the enemy.
We sleep fitfully, prepared to abandon all that we possess if British ships return to Boston Harbor, which we expect at any moment.
When will General Washington move to the attack?
Armies so feeble, so ill-fed, ill-clothed, ill-paid. Were it not for the discipline, courage, and character of the general, we would have no army at all. Our prospects are not encouraging. Where is France, Jefferson? Where is France?
Reports that King George has been declared insane.
Casualties begun to mount.
Their government is in the hands of the regents.
Cost to England of this little war, this beastly unpleasantness in the colonies is mounting high, beyond all their arrogant expectation. France now approach a critical crossroads. Where is France? France has declared war on England.
Patty, la belle France vient nous sauver!
La belle France can never resist a chance to make mischief, especially against Englishmen.
France and America together. We shall remake the world.
Revolutionary democratic America and corrupt monarchist France. A fine marriage.
Hold fast, dear spirit, hold fast. This winter, Mrs. Jefferson and I suffered another loss of children.
England, we've been visited by a plague of virulent dysentery that swept away my dear brother.
My beloved mother. Now, an epidemic of smallpox has come upon us. So sickly and so mortal a time no man alive can e'er remember. The Lord doth test our mettle.
Find us wanting.
He doth frown upon
Often, even here in Massachusetts.
Little girl.
dear Mr. Jefferson and Mrs. Jefferson.
We ne'er chanced to taste the gift of life. This was our 4th child loss. Oh, Patty. Nothing to Mrs. Jefferson, but he taketh well indeed. Her condition doth not improve. It is with profound reluctance that I remain here as governor of Virginia. I have never had ambition to govern over men. It is a painful, thankless office.
Dr. Rush, good friend, it is a matter of dire concern and disquietude. Now when the tide of war may at last be turning, our most powerful, our largest state has begun to falter. Jefferson and I are in frequent correspondence. I discuss weapons and military strategy. He discusses agriculture, architecture, paleontology, and domestic concerns. You must find time to see our friend, dear doctor, and inspire him to military vigor.
And convey to Mrs. Jefferson our most tender affection and profound solicitude.
He is spending too much time at Monticello.
Gentlemen of the Virginia Assembly, I submit to your inquiry concerning my official conduct. which you appear determined to pursue. I do here freely admit and acknowledge a fatal inattention to the gravity of warnings I did receive about the traitor General Arnold, who defected to the enemy. His destruction and devastation of Richmond remains for me an unending torment. But gentlemen, British forces roam the countryside with impunity, and the Virginia militia appear and disappear with the seasons and the crops. General Cornwallis is consumed by a spirit of extermination, which he doth rage against my possessions. Last night, a squadron of English dragoons came to my home, to the very steps of Monticello, intent on taking me prisoner to bring me to England in chains, there to be tried for treason and hanged. They set fire to my crops and to my barns. They stole my horses, slaughtered my livestock. My family and I escaped thanks to a neighbor's warning, but with minutes to spare. And Mrs. Jefferson, she is under strict doctor's orders. Gentlemen, I do hereby relinquish my post as governor. Nothing in my life or education prepared me for the command of armies. I think that public service and private misery are inseparable companions.
From General Washington, the opportunity is precious. The prospects most favorable. Aha! We are preparing the grand offensive. The hunt is on. By God, Jefferson, they're right in your backyard. We're leading them into a trap.
The British force has surrendered.
Rule America. America rule the land. America rule the sea.
Now, I pass over to Cornwallis that bitter cup of public humiliation, which I have drunk deep and long.
Face new challenges, demanding the war itself. You require us a strong federal government. No more this loose confederation of independent states. No more this freedom to run amok. States making their own laws. States ignoring their own laws.
Dear Jefferson.
I tell you, Mrs. Adams, the science of government is the highest of all sciences, and Jefferson and I together must have.
Put a tombstone. Say on it, memory of Martha Jefferson. Oh, Patty, Patty, beloved companion of my life.
We must not lose him, sir. He must return to public service.
That was enough, I tell you. It's been 2 years now he's been in mourning. None of us is a stranger to death, but he must do everything in excess. For him, it has to be the end of all existence. Total, complete self-torture. Nothing else will suffice.
I see her every day by the window at the piano. I still smell her perfume. I hear her laugh. Oh, Patty.
Sir, will you permit our grand experiment in self-government, which doth place its faith in full participation by each and every one of its citizens? Will you allow it no chance for survival? For it is the best among us stay at home and tend to private concerns. How, I ask you, shall we fulfill our destiny? Sir, it is not the present generation alone, but the spirit of future ages that summons you back, sir. I pray you, back across the river of death, back to the land of the living.
Mrs. Adams, they want me to go to France. They're out to get rid of me. Me? To Paris? I'm staying right here where I'm needed. Where I belong.
It's Madison, and Hamilton.
I know their
They
game.
want to keep you away from the Constitutional
Okay.
Convention.
And they shan't succeed, I warrant. Ah, but they want Jefferson. They want Jefferson to go as well. Now, Jefferson. You and I have been requested to serve as trade emissaries to Europe. Why they inquired of me, well, but you, sir, you are the natural choice. Fluent in the language, good friends in high positions, the style, the wit, yes, and most of all, good pronunciation. The French will find you entièrement charmant. You.
Sir, I prevail upon you to aid and assist in this most contentious task of negotiating treaties, to fortify the sinews of our uncertain economy.
Help us market whale oil from Massachusetts and tobacco from Virginia. And arrange for a loan? Borrowing already? What a waste.
Sir, you reside too much within your grief. Mingle your pain and joy with our own.
Have I not done enough?
Time enough.
Shall I never be allowed to rest?
Time enough to rest in the grave, dear sir. Centuries of repose, for we the living have dreams to make come true. And the French people are ripe as ripe can be, sir, for reform, more ever than we were ourselves.
And America owes its freedom to La France. Stand by their side. Help them in their noble struggle.
God help us, teach them some moderation.
My young Martha and dear little Polly, so frail and weak in health, like her mother.
I long to shield them from all future pain. Honor us, sir, by accepting our humble hospitality.
Humble indeed, they offer us 40 beds and 7 servants. More than I could afford in Boston, I warrant.
My daughters, they miss their mother so. Yes, partons ensemble à la belle France.
Jefferson is an excellent man, a wise and prudent man. We could not have chosen better. He is, rather he was, infected with no petty passion nor any partiality, except for his own country. When he first arrived.
Ah, bonjour, mon vieux.
What's all this, sir, dressed like a damn Frenchman?
I do but pay homage to our host nation.
Sir, we are in a country of down-to-earth, homespun, God-fearing Americans. We must think American, talk American, act American, and dress American.
We are invited guests in the land of our strongest and most generous ally. It is our blessed good fortune that has mastered the fine art of living well.
Your stay in France has changed you, Jefferson, all too swiftly.
I am learning to live.
You've seen and heard substantial evidence thereof.
Always with discretion, sir, I do assure you. I have brought over my chef from Monticello to study French cuisine.
And a fetching young slave girl, I hear tell.
To look after my daughters.
As you will, sir, but prudence, I pray you. Prudence, beware the seductions of this nation, so prone to self-indulgence and wretched excess.
Oh, but you do exaggerate, Mr.
Nay, I see nothing here but vice and corruption, prodigality and luxury, laziness and frivolity. This is not England.
La France is my second home. I have found true consolation and solace.
Yes, and I note with increasing apprehensions, Mr. Ambassador, your frequent absence from official functions. Why, just yesterday, expecting the pleasure of your participation, I ordered riz de veau avec goût Saint-Emilion. But no Jefferson nowhere to be seen, so I was obliged, which I can ill afford, to partake of everything myself. I can ill afford any such thing, and I was striving to inveigle yet another loan from the Dutch ambassador. That spendthrift congressman. Go on borrowing forever.
Oh, dear sir, you are the General Washington of these negotiations. There are other activities.
Exactly. You are seeking an overdose of revolutionary stimulation, dear Jefferson. I pray you abandon your involvement with these Parisian radicals. They're a bloodthirsty lot. Pseudo-intellectuals, their heads filled to overflowing with plots against the king, the court, and one another.
Were we not radicals ourselves not so very long ago?
Mark well that our revolution was a war against foreign domination. Theirs will be a civil war, class against class, the worst of wars, the bloodiest of wars.
You and I are, or we were, a restraining influence until you withdrew, sir. They say you have lost your zeal for revolution. They say you have become cold English at heart.
I have always supported reform, but your would-be revolutionaries scoff when I advocate government of divided powers. They call it the English way and will have none of it.
Surely, sir.
They cannot comprehend that self-government requires self-discipline and self-responsibility. Now I hear King Louis doth fear for his life.
As well he ought. If you had travelled throughout France as have I, if you had seen, as have I, the look of desperate poverty, the utter hopelessness etched deep into the faces of peasants throughout France, you could only conclude that the sole purpose of the court of France is to grind the people down into utter misery and keep them there.
Give the royal court time, sir, for gradual reform. Give it time.
You have faith, sir, and a fondness for royalty.
I have a fondness for order. Change will come in due time by gradual degree, and thereby avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Meantime, I beseech you, dear friend, to desist from imparting your extravagant visions of the future to my impressionable sons. Tom Quincy, of course, is a sensible lad, good head on his shoulders, the Bible every day, but my other boy, I worry about my young Charles. He's become enamored of French hedonism, of wine, women, and the new world of liberty soon to come. Sir, your newfound compatriots are weakening his love of God, his obedience, and his discipline.
Madame?
Monsieur,
Monsieur!
gentlemen, they have seized the king and queen as well.
Ah, they put them in cages like monkeys.
Now there will be justice for the people.
The justice of the guillotine? The French disgust me as they would disgust their own posterity. Now the deluge of blood doth commence. In all good conscience, I shall no longer lend my sanction to the fiat of my government to a nation prepared to murder its own sons. We must leave this unhappy land.
Surely you will not abandon me in France, sir. Mr. Adams?
Quit France, sir. Quit it now, before it drags you down into its vortex of self-destruction.
Revolutionary France is seeking world freedom and world justice.
Sir, a country with a mission beyond its own borders is a dangerous country.
There is no further good, sir, to be accomplished here.
Body and soul, I am committed to La France and its revolution.
Then God help you, sir, for I shall not.
What will happen to us, to our years of friendship?
Providence, which brought us together, intends, I am quite certain, our lives remain conjoined.
Let us meet again, sir, soon, I pray you.
When my work is concluded,
For
Mr. Jefferson.
Mrs. Adams.
welcome back, sir. Yes, welcome back to Philadelphia.
My young Polly and Martha are overjoyed to be reunited with the Adams family, as indeed am I. And it is my heartfelt privilege to pay cordial respect to Vice President John Adams, justly honored by his grateful compatriots, and to his eminent lady, who stands by his side in every matter of consequence.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Jefferson. But we extend to you, kind sir, one of a felicitation on your appointment as Secretary of State.
It took that much to drag you home, dear sir, after 5 years. Too long a sojourn en France. Now, sir, I must ask you, how will you readjust to American cooking? The Adams home, of course, as always, an exception.
I shall improve American cuisine, cher ami, with delectable recipes de la France. And here, brought back cuttings of vines from Les Grands Chateaux to graft onto our native stock, bettering America from the ground up.
We shall look forward with great pleasure, sir, to your singular and ever surprising innovations.
America needs French excellence, French elegance, and French ideals.
An insidious French extremism from your dangerous friends now well entrenched in power.
France is striving to liberate the peasants of Europe from centuries of exploitation by degenerate kings and the corrupt church.
But sir,
The murder of Rampage?
I bore witness, madame, to the storming of the Bastille, and I tell you the French Revolution is a glorious event. I would see it spread round the globe.
have you become habituated, sir, to the sight of blood running in the gutters of Paris?
Revolution is the indispensable medicine for the health of government. The tree of liberty must be oft refreshed with the blood of tyrants and of patriots.
Yes, sir.
What signify a handful of lives?
I shudder, Jefferson, when I hear you speak, and give renewed thanks to the wisdom of our Constitution and strong federal government bringing us order and balance and control.
The excessive authority of the new presidency is an open invitation for an American king.
Would you then have chaos in the streets as whence you came, sir?
The common man has insufficient protection from this too powerful federal government.
Common men have all the power they require and all they desire. What they crave is a strong hand at the helm.
Now, thank God, with President Washington and Mr. Adams, they have all that is needed.
Madame, have we now uncovered angels in the guise of kings and presidents? Once they hold the reins of power, let history provide the answer.
Our people want stability, sir. Indeed, when I observe the common man here in Philadelphia, yes, even in Boston, I despair for the survival of our republic. No doubt they are superior in Virginia.
Gentlemen, you have, both of you, always and ever possessed unlimited confidence in one another. Together or apart, neither of you has entertained any objective but the good of the nation.
Of course, Mrs. Adams, unquestionably.
Truly, madam, truly. That Mr. Adams and I have differed as to the ideal form of government is well apprehended by both of us. But we differ as friends, and we respect the absolute purity of one another's motives.
Our friendship has endured for 15 years without the slightest interruption in affection and without the slightest suspicion of ill will. Ever has and ever will remain dear to my heart. It's been good to see you, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Vice President, Mrs. Adams, I bid you adieu.
Secretary, farewell. This is not the Jefferson I once did know and love.
I have suffered too many years of contentious struggle in Washington's cabinet. First with Hamilton and now with Adams, who has cast his lot irretrievably with the pro-British faction.
Jefferson's temper has become embittered, his mind poisoned with passion and prejudice for the depraved government of France.
I have today submitted my resignation.
French noblemen at whose homes he and I were honored guests are being slaughtered like cattle. Jefferson utters not a word of condemnation. Now they have murdered the king himself. And still Jefferson remains silent. Is this decency?
The Federalist Party is so fearful for antagonizing mighty Britannia, it stands idly by while the British board our ships and impress our seamen to serve in their navy. And Adams is urging Washington to run for a third term. If we rid ourselves of King George of England and replace him with King George of America,
Mr. Jefferson. Now, President Washington decided not to stand for office again. John Adams, who has faithfully served the nation for 8 arduous years, is flattered by the warm encouragement of prominent citizens and devoted friends who declare him the most qualified, indeed, some have said the most deserving to become Washington's successor. We trust you will concur, sir. We trust you will support and endorse, Vice President.
Dear Mr. Adams, be assured of my unchanged devotion and deep regard which I retain for yourself as the leading patriot of our time, and for Mrs. Adams as the most prominent lady of the land.
I have taken note, sir, of reports, which I trust are in error, that your name has been entered as a candidate for the presidency.
All my life, sir, I've been second to you in every station, as is fit and proper. I am content to remain so, but your antagonism to the revolutionary government of La France and the principle of freedom which it represents doth preclude my active support of your candidacy.
Sir,
Though I shall not seek the office,
Mrs. Adams,
my advocates are free to vote according to their conscience.
that man is never to enter this house again. Never.
Here, Mr. Adams, Mr. President-elect, my hearty congratulations, sir, to the second president of these United States. The esteem I hold for you privately as well as your public importance will always. Now in the second year of his presidency, Adams has descended into totally irrational francophobia.
Napoleon has seized northern Italy, Belgium, and now the Netherlands. He's amassing a fleet of warships to cross the Channel to invade Great Britain. God, America will be next.
Adams and his party are creating an atmosphere of national hysteria.
Pleaded with General Washington to prepare our defense, and he will resume military command.
Thank the Lord.
Oh, Adams. Adams, such an honest man, sometimes great, sometimes utterly insane.
Washington is called Jefferson, the curse of the nation.
And now Adams is advocating these alien and sedition laws.
Security of our land is at peril. We must hunt down and prosecute all suspicious aliens, especially the French.
And to those who publish false statements which seek to damage the character of our leaders.
5 years in jail.
Legislation worthy of the 8th, or perhaps the 9th century.
This nation requires objective, impartial, and responsible newspapers to tell the truth.
By whose judgment? Madison, Monroe, Gallatin, Burr. The time has come for a new political party. And this time, I shall campaign.
Oh, Mr. Adams, Mr. Adams!
This government is swallowing up more liberty than ever did the King of England.
Since mine has been eaten away to an empty honeycomb.
The election of 1800 would change the course of the new century and start a new revolution. That government is best which governs least.
The campaign. Oh, this vile and vicious campaign. And the newspapers.
Scurrilous rags, every falsehood diseased minds can conjure up.
Toothless, querulous Adams, addled monarchist, gross hypocrite, egregious fool. A tempest of malignant passions, ever drunk with federal power.
Godless Jefferson, the Virginia cow, without conscience, keeper of a vast harem of comely slaves, he will bring us freedom to rob, rape, and pillage, just like the French.
State. A minuscule number of states. One state to decide an election. South Carolina. That's all it took. It's all over now. I'm for it. Back to the soil, Farmer John, and full content shall he be. Content, but by God, I shall not vacate this office without one last service to the nation. I shall leave to the federal judiciary in the hands of independent judges.
Those judges are mine to appoint.
Competent to withstand any pernicious effort to undermine the authority of the government and weaken the law of the land. We must protect the nation. What's this, Miss Adams?
Charles. Oh boy, Charles.
Dear Mr. President-elect, but you, on a personal matter of profound melancholy and deep despair, today we learned of the death of our beloved son, Charles, darling of my heart and the delight of my eye, cut off in the flower of his youth, midst flattering prospects. Cut off by French indulgence, Jefferson.
An overdose of your vaunted liberty, sir.
The greatest grief and affliction of my life.
Liberty become license, license become ruination.
Well, sir. Well.
When you have nothing to say, sir.
Mrs. Adams, prepare for our departure. We leave at dawn. We shall not remain to see that betrayer inaugurate.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
No, I live there. It's just
Sorry, we need to move on.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, hopefully there's some books. Some decent stuff.
Yes, oh, yeah, before.
Yeah. Yes, maybe it was the cultural thing. That Sebastian tried to get some anyway, I'm sure you can sit out.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Hope, it's not seeing you, no doubt.
that's what's been occurring to me. Last time we went to try to, we tried to put the eclipse in the sky. So it was good for real.
Yeah, you know, bit of a hurry, I'd see it, sir.
He's doing that.
Yes. Remember that in NPR? She's like Abigail or whatever. What we must have 9 or 10.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll put the flag and like show them the 76.
Or sit down.
Sit down. It's from the window.
Yeah, I need to read around.
But after the party. What's the date? More time?
Midnight.
Presidency.
Southeast Asia. Back to Laos. Vietnam is going to take the motorcycle.
That's why I sworn in. You know, it's similar to when Francis Anthony talked about basically he ran the presidents. Yeah.
He does have to tell me about it. So that's, he's probably stopped giving to kind of that and then sort of fuel.
Yeah, you know, motorcycle, that's what I was spell.
Oh, yeah. He cannot stay go flying in equations and ride without a motorcycle, so he has to go on the side. He has to go side. Yeah, he is not actually.
Just exchange of ideas. It's like Ginsberg, it's basically. That's the main thing. And that's how you end up with a bit of right. Whereas you like money.
I'm not sure if it's a fight car or something.
He's not in control.
He's not in control. So. But I am going to audition for the very boss of you next Monday.
Really? Is it gonna be in,
At RSC. And by that, just what's in life as well.
okay,
That's the person. Yes. Learn great.
5 months, how did you pass?
January 22nd.
Where are you gonna be for Christmas?
My brothers and sister-in-law have invited me to go down to New York.
Yeah. Alright.
So I could go out to stuff with the face.
Yeah.
It kind of depends if I could go early like November and come back for Christmas, but not if I get it's wonderful weather.
Yeah.
It all kind of depends if I get the cruise post, and I may or may not be sure it's one thing. I don't get the cruise post stuff.
Did you get to see Richmond?
Have you done over time? Getting more. The trees, just they're forests. Yeah.
Pretty long things, but I've found good, the earthworks, everywhere in Windsor. And I could have auditioned for the Shakespeare Codex, and I would have gotten it.
Yeah, that's a good indication.
But it goes up in September, and I'm going away in August, so. And we're going to started literally Tuesday, Mary was
Right.
yeah. And actually, we are as the small staff at very wise, he's directing Shakespeare. Okay. This world is a flat world that rides through space on a giant with four elephants on its back. And
So warm in here.
the
It's top
from the eastern world
of
are invading the
basement is
round world.
cooler.
They want to take over. we have Queen Elizabeth around the world.
I know.
So the next question is, it's in the line to 1817, James Madison's presidency and the war of 1812. Both men.
Okay, I'm the daughter in the revolution, so I'd love to.
Oh, well, see what kind of old afterwards, because Lauren who's playing Adams
Yes.
is a native American, so and he's really our history buff. He knows much
So
more
Jack,
about
who's playing
history than I
Adams,
do.
the guy who's playing Adams. He just calls me, just like you.
No, this is my friend John. Lauren is playing John Adams, my husband.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. That's not.
Yes. So if you want to watch that. Do you want your own cheese? Oh, yeah.
sorry, not the chair. One of the things is sorry.
Yeah, I'm based in Richmond as well. We're near.
Okay, I'm in queue.
Okay, lovely. The Richmond Shakespeare Society is now. Yes, if you. We went that far apart.
If you don't have any such reading, I think that High Street Johns
And the Mayflower descendant. The Mayflower descendant. Yeah, it was Lauren. We figure we're 17th cousins somewhere. It's the ancestry. Just talk about bookmark.
I thank you, Dr. Rush, dear friend, for your most considerate expression of sympathy. Having lost my dear Polly, having now outlived the 6th of my 7 children, the prospects for a contented evening of my life now hang upon the slender thread of my daughter Martha alone. Perhaps I am fated to see even that last chord of parental pleasure severed.
My dear Mr. President, had you been a private citizen, I would have written immediately upon learning your melancholy news. Reasons of various kind, you may well imagine, held me back, until now when the powerful feeling of my heart burst all restraint and called on me to shed my tears of grief alongside yours. Dearest Polly was like my own child. I recollect as if it were yesterday our tender scenes of separation when Mr. Adams and I were making ready to depart from France. She clung around my neck and wet my cheek with tears, and I too wept. Now that I have learned to love you, she said, why must they take you away? Accept, dear sir, I pray you, deepest condolences from one who did formerly take pleasure in calling herself your friend. Abigail Adams.
My dear, dear Mrs. Adams, the affectionate sentiments you have the goodness and graciousness to express have awakened sensibilities natural to the occasion, and have recalled your many kindnesses to my daughter and to myself, which I shall ever remember with gratitude and with friendship. I assure you of the indelible impression you made upon her, for whenever I returned home, what I knew of you, whether I'd seen you, were among the first of her inquiries. In giving you this assurance, I perform a sacred duty to her memory, and at the same time I'm thankful for this opportunity to express regret that circumstances have drawn a veil of separation betwixt us. The friendship with which once you did honor me has ever been and will always be held in the highest esteem. As was my friendship with Mr. Adams as well.
My husband does share my profound grief, I assure you, and he knows not of this letter, nor, I warrant thee.
My friendship with Mr. Adams accompanied us through long and arduous ordeals. We never stood in one another's way. We knew that if either of us was ever to have withdrawn from political activities, our supporters would not have gone over to the survivor, but would instead have sought someone of similar persuasion. This knowledge kept our friendship entirely free from personal rivalry.
My dear sir, I wrote to you solely with the intention.
I tell you in truth that one act and one act alone of Mr. Adams ever gave me a moment's displeasure.
Sir?
I considered his midnight appointment of 22 federal judges to have been an act of personal unkindness. It seemed to me but common justice to leave to one successor the freedom to select colleagues by his own conviction.
No, I would rather not.
My respect for Mr. Adams would not permit me to shift blame for those actions onto the influence of his advisers, but it did, and it has, left room for friendship to forgive.
Oh.
And after brooding over it for some time, I have indeed forgiven it. Yes, forgiven it cordially, and returned to my former undiminished regard for Mr. Adams, which has endured for some 30 years now, and for yourself, dear lady, the most heartfelt and tender attachment.
Mr. President, if your reply contained no other sentiment than that which my simple message of sympathy might reasonably have excited, our correspondence could well have terminated at that juncture. But as you wished an opportunity to express other sentiments, I have given them every weight they deserve. Mr. Adams was empowered by the Constitution to fill each and every office as it became vacant, and in the exercise of that power, indeed of that duty, Mr. Adams selected judges capable and of just and proper enforcement of the law. I shall rely upon the attachment which you profess to still maintain, now to freely disclose those activities of yours, which did in fact sever the bonds of erstwhile friendship. I feel no resentment for your victory as over Mr. Adams, but the means utilized to accomplish that ambition have my total abhorrence and utter detestation, for they involve the blackest of slander and the foulest of falsehood.
My dear lady.
And when you took office, one of your first actions was to pardon from prison those culprits serving just punishment for the law for having published flagrant lies about President Adams, and indeed about General Washington himself. To set such serpents free to slither their way through the journalistic gutters of our land has nothing less to grant public approbation for newspaper chicanery. The hurt is deep, but I bear no malice.
Dear Madam, no one disapproved of such despicable campaign slander more than myself, but I was so far from stooping to any concern for such preposterous tripe as was Mr. Adams regarding his own ardent advocates, who attacked me repeatedly and viciously with volumes of blatant trumpery, not one of whom ended up in prison.
But you, sir, you went even further. You went so far as to make a gift, a reward to that viper of vipers, the first person you could not wait to pardon, that so-called editor. I will not soil my lips with his name. That, sir, was the ultimate slash of the sword, cutting the Gordian knot that bound so tightly together our two families. Now, I must take my leave, sir.
No, Mrs. Adams, the alien and sedition laws under which that editor and other perhaps more honorable journalist supporters were thrown into prison, I did consider then, and I consider now, completely null and void. The freedom of the press was violated by such ill-conceived legislation, and I ordered every person so punished to be restored to their rightful liberty.
Sir, would you, who were among the first to inveigh against the authority of the executive before you came to take office, now deign to construe that our Constitution giveth sanction to the President by this arbitrary will to annul any law of which he disapproves? Then that, sir, is the difference between this republic and a dictatorship, such as they have in France. No, sir, if all distinction between virtue and vice is to be obliterated by irresponsible newspapers, why then society's respect for accomplishment, for character, will be irretrievably lost. For it is respect that teaches our citizens to obey the nation's laws, as our children are taught to obey their parents' command.
Madame, the basis of our government being the informed opinion of our people, the highest object must be to preserve that right and that opportunity. Were it left to me to decide whether to have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate to choose the latter.
Sir, I wrote to you with the freedom of form of friendship, to which I would gladly return, could all cause but mere difference of opinion be removed. The heart is slow, sir. The heart is very slow to accept the truth forced upon it by reason. Even now, affection still lingers in my heart, though all esteem is gone.
Dear lady.
I close this correspondence, sir, I pray you. Oh, postscript, sir. I have now shown these letters in their entirety to Mr. Adams. He has read every one of them with great attention and told me he has nothing to say to you.
Bells
The
ringing,
lady always has the last word.
bells ringing, guns firing, dogs barking, children wailing, cats mewling, drunks puking. Jefferson re-elected. President by a landslide vote. And on the same page, Bonaparte, the bloody butcher of Europe, to be crowned emperor by the Pope himself. Going to Paris to bless an evil monster, the Pope. And not Jefferson protest. No, this country, this whole world is going to the dogs. Going to the French poodles. Very well, very well. What are you up to, Mrs. Adams? With a letter from Dr. Rush.
Mrs. Rush.
Most formidable lady. Mother of 13 children. Very busy one.
Now, sir, I pray you.
And a busybody.
Her husband is most distressed that you have failed to reply to 2 of his letters.
She's the most meddlesome spouse one could ever imagine.
He wrote to you, sir, in friendship, seeking your support for the president.
Never.
On one solitary issue.
His friendship for Jefferson knows no constraint.
And our former friendship with Jefferson has suffered much constraint for 7 years now.
Now, here's a too.
Dr. Rush craves the artillery of your language, your firmness, courage, vigor, and brilliance of imagination on behalf of peace.
After Jefferson.
And you have done before.
Never.
The purchaser of the Louisiana Territory.
Well, a bargain price. He'd been a fool to walk away. And the greatest expansion of federal authority by the greatest advocate of its limitation.
And now the British have dared to attack the U.S. Navy vessel.
Off the coast of Virginia.
3 sailors killed, 2 wounded. The southern states are up in arms.
Potheads the South are always ready for gun and cannon.
Keeping this nation strong while avoiding war has always been your quintessential goal.
What are you up to, Mrs. Adams?
Jefferson stands nearly alone, relying on a handful of senators in his desperate attempts to cool down this nation's mad fever for war. Your own son has crossed the Senate divide to stand by Jefferson.
My John Quincy! He never asked me. Your son has always been partial to Jefferson. Everyone is partial to Jefferson.
Our son is an independent and ornery cuss like his father, and a fine senator because of it. He is bold like his father, resolute like his father, and when he determines, like his father, what is best for the nation, he does set aside every personal issue or concern.
Party will make him pay dearly.
Dr. Rush believes, and I partake of that belief, we must grant Jefferson in all fairness a well-deserved credit for advocating an embargo on trade with Britain, which could well encourage restitution and avoid a bloody confrontation. Your respected voice of moderation and balance, your prestige, your reputation for integrity and conviction would propel Jefferson's plea for peace across the nation. When President Adams and President Jefferson agreed on anything, the people stopped and listened.
An embargo would do grievous damage to the economy of New England.
If we go to war with Britain, if President Jefferson is abandoned by colleagues of good conscience, the only winner will be Napoleon Bonaparte, who will rub his hands with unmitigated glee and give thanks to those who stood aside and did nothing. America fighting England while France conquers the rest of Europe.
We must not get sucked into the quicksand of a foreign war from which we will never extricate ourselves. Very well.
It'll be like old times again. You and Jefferson were spirit of '76.
I know what you're doing, Mrs. Adams. You don't fool me. Don't let this go to your head.
I have the pleasure to reflect during the 8 years of my administration, we have witnessed a steady diminution in the scope of government. We have reduced taxation and enacted provisions for the reduction of the national debt. But best of all, we have enshrined our sacred liberties at the heart of the American birthright. The long arm of American justice has reached halfway round the globe to punish those perpetrators of terror who attacked innocent and helpless voyagers. Our Navy bombarded, our Marines invaded, and the atrocities of the Barbary pirates are at an end. On our own soil, limited government which restrains men from doing injury to one another, but otherwise leaves them free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and betterment, which does not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned. That is the sum of good government, and all that is necessary to close the circle of domestic felicity. I return, dear friends, to good Virginia air, so delicious to breathe after the fetid swamp of Washington. The turmoil, the bustle, the splendor of high office have drawn from me but deeper sighs for tranquil occupations of private life and for the enjoyment of my affectionate bond with you, dear neighbors and friends, and for the tender endearments of family love which nature hath given us to sweeten our passing hours. For all these pleasures, I gladly lay down the burdens of power, and I thank you one and all, from the bottom of my heart.
Now Madison taking over, another Virginian, another Jeffersonian, 3 out of 4 presidents from Virginia. It's too much England to get. New England will get nothing.
President Madison has appointed John Quincy as ambassador to Russia. Jefferson, I'm sure, recommended it.
Well, he's always recognized talent, I grant him that.
And he doth not avoid correspondence with his old friends.
Dr. Rush, what are they up to now?
It would behoove you to discover, would it not? You simply must.
I shall write to Dr. Rush.
He may not have a plenitude of time.
Nor indeed do any of us, my dear. Dear Dr. Rush, it seemeth to me you and I ought not to die and disappear without at least bidding each other adieu. In truth, what say you, sir, after so long a lapse of time, to this old dyspeptic friend of yours? Or have you forgotten me? Many wish they could.
Dear Dr. Rush, old friend, I'm in complete accord with your pronouncement. You have no more stomach for politics. And a good armchair in your library is what you value most profoundly. It is indeed the throne of human felicity.
Yes, I have completely disowned the butterflies of fame and said farewell to politics forever. But what of your friend Jefferson in his slave-built, slave-served mansion? Tell me, Dr. Rush, you who founded the very first American Society for the Abolition of Slavery in Philadelphia.
I hold the same high opinion of Mr. Adams as ever, but it is a regrettable and unfortunate part of his nature to imagine the worst in those towards whom he harbors a spirit of envy. He cannot easily free himself from such corrosive suspicion.
Friend of ancient times, I long to hear from you and your beloved wife as well. Postscript, getting older, getting better. Note how I make ill-tempered remarks.
Those the evening of my life and what have been the passions of my earlier years. Books, science, farm, family, and friends. To these, every hour of my day is now devoted. Different. I pray you desist from your exertions to re-establish the erstwhile friendship twixt Mr. Adams and myself. All three of us are tottering towards the grave. Let it be so. Let it be.
Your latest ploy goes too far. You dreamt you were reading a book of history and discovered that after 12 years of bitterness, I know it is not bitter, the friendship between our two living ex-presidents has recommenced. For Mr. Adams seized the initiative. And it was he who wrote the first letter to Mr. Jefferson. Ah, Dr. Rush, you crafty.
I'm well aware you consider Adams and myself the north and south of the revolution, that we cannot stand apart for the good of the nation.
Mr. Rush, why must you keep insisting that our work is not complete, that we have a sacred obligation to come together?
You need not remind me, dear friend. I know all too well the embargo did devastate New England, that Adams's own party did disown him. He, the former president of the United States.
Sir, if I ever received an injury from Jefferson, I have forgiven it.
I've done all that I can, Dr. Rush. All.
Sure, you anger never rested
The
in
dissolution of a friendship is among the most painful of occurrences.
vexation, yes, with all his philosophy, but I have put all that aside.
Friendship, yes, it is an old man's milk.
Always loved Jefferson. I still love him.
Why indeed should Adams and I remain apart, separated by mere difference of opinion?
Dear Mr. Jefferson, on this very first day of January 1812, I write to you quite voluntarily, quite happily, to dispatch the most cordial greetings from myself and my family. There has been, for too protracted a period, an oppressive silence between us. Our remaining years are so few that we surely can obey the Lord's command and cleanse our hearts of trivial resentments. Start anew. In that spirit, I send you by separate post a homegrown gift, as it were, which I pray you do the honor to accept. A collection of my son's lectures in rhetoric delivered at Harvard after he was forced from obstinacy by narrow-minded, vengeance-seeking opponents from his own party because he dared to stand by you, sir. These volumes are with considerable trepidation submitted to your acute judgment.
Yes, sir. Dear Mr. Adams, I received your letter and wondrous gift with total delight. The growing eminence of your son has begun to rival the lofty achievements of his extraordinary father. I shall anticipate with high pleasure an unhurried perusal of his writing, and I do pray you will accord me the reciprocal honor of accepting my own humble gift, also homegrown. Monticello, vintage 1801. The last year we saw one another, dear sir, they have aged well. Indeed, as have you and I.
Mrs. Adams! Mrs. Adams!
Good wine has always been for me a necessity of life, and I continue to experiment thus far in vain to improve our modest vines. Knowing all too well your candor in every matter, I wait uneasily the appraisal of your sensitive palate.
How could they be less than elegant?
A letter from you, dear Adams, carries me back to an antique era, when beset with untold danger, no more such grand events. I think little of them, and I say less. I've given up newspapers in exchange for Tacitus and Thucydides, and am much the happier for it. The profit of the future lies in the past. At 70 years of age, I still ride horseback several hours each day, overseeing my farms and fields. I live surrounded by beloved grandchildren, one of whom has advanced me to the illustrious state of great-grandfatherhood. You and Mrs. Adams may be favored with good health, tranquility, and long life. It's the profound prayer of one who tenders assurance of highest respect and undying regard.
Mrs. Adams and I must express our deepest gratitude for your elegant gift, which our entire family did clamor to taste. To do it proper homage, Mrs. Adams prepared my favorite dish, roast New England squab, serving it as a fit companion to your, yes, I call it royal libation. A most sinful feast it was, everything to delight the eye and allure the palate. Dear sir, if Mrs. Adams and I were 20 years younger, nay, 10 years younger, why, we would hasten south to observe at first hand your extraordinary vineyard and visit for one last time our old Virginian friend. My age would not diminish, and Mrs. Adams' health, which doth not improve, such a venture impossible to contemplate. May we prevail instead upon young ones such as yourself to honor us with a welcome visit.
I wish it were possible, dear sir, but our next meeting must be in another country, a land not so very distant.
Well, I do comprehend, sir, your pleasure of reading history rather than newspapers filled with faction and distraction. But for myself, studies in theology and religion, subjects on which we have had more than one occasion to disagree, not to mention other matters as well, why, in Paris you are persuaded, against all evidence to the contrary, that the French people, with no experience of democracy and no tradition of independence or freedom, could create a democratic republic with your noble assistance. Well, sir, with you and Madison, who imagine naught but lurking danger in a strong federal government, have, by shallow and superficial policies, weakened the army, dried up the navy, and made this nation an object of international scorn and universal pity.
But Mr. Adams,
You may expect many such expostulations from me, from one who has loved you nigh on 40 years. Though I am ahead of you by 7 years, I take careful note of the productivity of your children and your grandchildren. We are encouraging the Adams brood to make haste. Dear sir, You and all my beloved friends are the joy of my existence. Postscript, Mrs. Adams conveys her undiminished regard and sincere wish that distance did not separate genial souls.
Dear Mr. Adams, and most cordial greetings to Mrs. Adams. Sir, I do thank you for your generous remarks on my simple wine and for your commentary, always forthright on other matters as well. You may recall that when this nation was racing madly towards war against La France, strident voices did clamor for strong military force to be used against our own loyal and patriotic opposition. We must be grateful to President Adams for his efforts, albeit delayed, to finally thwart the power of those who would beat the drums of foreign war to utilize for domestic suppression.
Listen to me. Our ambassador is the laughing stock of London. He pleads with England to be reasonable, and England replies, how many ships do you have? How many soldiers? And your Madison would lead this nation into war with England. A second war? Lunacy.
The British have a lust for revenge.
They have a lust for return of their colonies, and we must be prepared. Now, the British fleet is in the Potomac.
Landing soldiers? Marching straight towards the capital?
Without a single battalion to protect us.
Burning down the White House. Madison fleeing for his life. Rowing to safety across the Potomac.
The chambers of the House and Senate are on fire.
The Library of Congress, all its books burned.
The Capitol ablaze.
Great Britain has become a nation of barbarians.
A disastrous and unnecessary war.
Is there any other kind?
My son, John Quincy, has been sent abroad to negotiate a treaty of peace. The British have wearied of this calamitous war, as have we. But have you and Madison learned, or will that old visionary zeal impel you to disarm the nation and trust in the goodwill of foreigners who despise our way of life? Peace at last! The Adams household doth rejoice that John Quincy is soon to return after long and difficult diplomacy. And Madison has shown the good sense to elevate him to serve the nation as Secretary of State.
Dear Mr. Jefferson, I have been looking for a small space in Mr. Adams' letters to convey to you my own personal sentiments of affection and regard, well preserved through years of grievous vicissitudes. I have much to keep me occupied with continuous visitors and overnight guests, our farm, our family, a husband who must be looked after, for he doth read too much and write far too much, neglecting his health. But I delight in nature's gifts. The summer sun that brings our grain to fruition, the soft rain that descends from heaven to make the fields rejoice and the valleys sing. For all these bounties, I give thanks with a grateful heart. I bend increasingly to disease. I succumb and then revive, recovering with each reprieve to a new surge of health and good spirits. Happy I may fill my remaining hours with learning and wisdom. Travelers bring us such delightful accounts of Monticello that I feel a great sadness. I shall never see you again. And I must rely instead on fond recollections of past pleasures, amongst which, and not the least, was my early acquaintance and continued friendship with the philosopher of Monticello, to whom I offer, dear sir, most respected regards from your very devoted and very old friend.
My dear madam, your kind communication reminds me of my neglected duty to salute you again with friendship and with respect, which I have excessively delayed. I am distressed to learn how you suffer from illness and fervently hope you will soon recover and retain sufficient good health to enjoy many rewarding years ahead. I have compared notes with Mr. Adams on the matter of progeny and find that I yet remain well in advance of him. I now have 2 3/4 great-grandchildren, which fraction shall become a full unit before too long. Dear madam, under all circumstances of sickness or of health, of blessing or affliction, I tender most profound assurances of sincere devotion and deep affection, along with my prayers at the hand of time and of providence. They press lightly upon me.
Left me. Here am I, happy old complainer, going to put up with me.
I have known every kind of loss that wounds the heart, and feel what you have suffered, what you must endure. I know that time and silence are our best medicine, and these but assuage. They never suppress those deep down sighs which fond remembrance doth forever inspire.
I know not how to prove Mrs. Adams and I shall be reunited. There is no assurance of such beatitude. But I believe in God and I believe in his benevolence, and I cannot conclude that such a being would create a species like ours merely to live and die and disappear. Why, if death were revealed to be eternal extinction, what would men say of their Lord? They would curse him, and I would join them with cannot be, despite what atheists like you are wont to declare.
My religion, sir, is the religion of man's mind, of reason triumphing over blind faith.
Do not often go enough to church. It's regrettable. Ceremony and ritual reinforce our spiritual commitment.
It is in our lives, dear friend, and in our deeds, but not the words we utter in church, by which your religion and mine shall judge.
The years are racing by faster and faster. I cannot believe that Jamie Monroe, who only yesterday took over from Madison, is now in his second term as president, and all of them Virginians. The presidency hasn't become reserved for one state alone, but by John Quincy. It's most audacious. He doth dare to consider candidacy. I hope, dear friend, that Massachusetts will prove itself worthy a second time.
My hearty congratulations, dear friend. It must excite ineffable feelings of joy in a father's heart to know his own son will soon be seated at his old desk in the White House.
The intensity of my emotions and the multitude of my thoughts are nearly too much for a mind like mine. And now in its final years, little strength of body and wit that once I did possess is all but gone. Yet so long as I breathe, I shall always be your friend. And we shall meet again. I wish it and I believe it. If I am disappointed, well, I shall never know it. Postscript. John Adams, in his 89th year, has become too fat to last much longer.
Dear friend, he who presides over the world has a benevolent heart, stealing from us little by little each of our pleasures, so that we begin to welcome the ending soon to come. When our faculties weaken, when friends of our youth are dead and gone, when a new generation has arisen around us of whom we know none, is death an evil?
No, death is not evil, dear friend. It is a blessing, but not too soon. Not too soon. Now I cannot be serious. I'm about to send you the most frivolous letter you ever did receive. Having both of us lived longer than we ever dreamed possible, I'm going to put you in a proposition. If you could, would you go back to the cradle and start all over again? Knowing full well that you will turn the question back to me, I shall save us time and reply in advance. I answer no. No, thank you, no. I have had more pleasure than pain in life. By 10 to 1, nay, 100 to 1 if you will, but still enough pain, enough grief. Quite enough for one lifetime.
But I would answer yes. Yes, 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 why not? I think with you it is a good one, with more pleasure and pain dealt out to us. So why not taste it all again, the fat and the lean together? But perhaps not all. Skip the green years. Skip the last 20 years. Ages 25 to 60. Perfection.
No, I would rather go forward and face my eternal reward, such as it may be. But there's no need to hurry, Jefferson. And I hear tell that Monticello is burdened with most heavy indebtedness. I am happy to learn that the Dominion of Virginia has organized a lottery to raise funds essential to keep Monticello out of the hands of grasping creditors. Dear sir, I trust my letter gave no offense. Few moments that remain to us are so limited I cannot stand upon epistolary etiquette. Never mind if I write 4 letters to your one, why, your one is worth more than all of mine rolled up together.
We shall hope for the best, Adams. The winter has come on full and strong, and I expect and I hope this shall be my last such season. I only wish I could sleep away these wintry months, like those wise animals who hibernate and then awake with them when spring returns.
I still take an occasional walk. Very occasional and very short.
I have enough strength to hobble through the garden, but when the night is high, and when the sun is high, but even that with fatigue. Ah, but reading, oh, reading, remains my joy. I cannot imagine a life without books.
My eyesight is dim. My hearing pretty good. My appetite too good. I have a home filled with family and friends. I enjoy most of all my quiet times in my study by my window, looking out over garden and field. Mrs. Adams loved our snowy winters when Mrs. Adams would make our home and hearth glow and for warmth, goodness, and with her love.
Spring at last, 1826. We are almost here.
Watching the blossoms on my apple tree soak up the warmth of the summer sun, I no longer see well enough to read, but delight when others read to me. I tease my friends and family unmercifully, tyrannically, till they submit, and then I go further. Oh, I am wicked. I coax them to write letters too as well. Tell Jefferson I suffer no torment over the ending soon to come, or my whole weary of life. Despite infirmities too numerous to catalogue, no. He and I are leaving this world a better place than we found it. Superstition, persecution, bigotry have all been abated. Science and literature extended far and wide. Government improved, albeit excessively diminished. Yes, it has been a good life. Is Jefferson well?
At Adams, my health is indifferent, but not so my love for him, which shall endure until my final breath. Tell him the crop at Monticello grows full and rich, and we will have a fine harvest this autumn, better than ever before. Vintage 1826, for 50th anniversary bottle.
I have been asked to speak at festivities celebrating the anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. They tell me they will come to honor me at home if the town is too difficult. The town too difficult. Staying alive is too difficult.
My neighbors and friends ask if they might hold their celebrations here on the wide lawn at Monticello, as in years past. Why, yes, of course. Let's say a few words. Send them most profound regrets. With heavy heart. But I shall stand at my window and toast with them the indomitable principle America represents, that government is the servant of the people and not the master. It rules by their consent, and their consent alone, freely given and freely renewed.
Then my fervent prayer for the people to beseech Almighty God to keep our nation strong and vigilant under his divine guidance, and inspire the hearts of our citizens to total obedience to the rule of law and brotherly concern for their fellow man. Still, a letter from Jefferson. But what day is this? Where is Mrs. Adams? Mrs. Adams!
Are those my neighbors? My good friends on the lawn at the Monticello?
I hear the happy sounds of people assembling, or do I?
Do I hear the sound of soldiers?
I hear the fights of celebration.
I hear the drums of war. Is that square at Independence Hall?
Or is this a summer night in Boston?
Is Adams still with us?
Yes, they can't get rid of me, for we have rode together at the same war,
And ridden out the storm
with heart in hand,
to make a happy port.
and soon we shall be together for all eternity. But you don't still believe, not now, that I ever wanted an American king.
Or I wanted chaos in the streets and liberty become license.
We needed to explain ourselves. We needed to come together.
And show our great experiment in self-government could succeed, would endure.
And so it shall forevermore. Because of you, sir, the greatest man this land has ever known. And my greatest friend.
Because of John Adams, the firebrand of revolution.
Open wide those shutters.
Open them wide.
Brave men still struggle for liberty.
We must help them one and all. Now,
You there, Jefferson? Has he left us all alone?
we shall never be apart, Adams. Never.
Jefferson survives, thank God. Jefferson is alive.
Interested in running another event here on Friday, but about Benjamin Franklin's work in Craven. How he used new advantage